Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and make a video about a review I saw for Superman by Nerdrotic called Superman is Not Woke and a Total Disaster. Now I've watched some of this video and I think it is absolutely insane and you're gonna get all of my opinion on it. So the video kinda starts off with these clips they're put together for some reason of angry Superman from Superman 3 reacting to James Gunn saying Superman is a pro-migrant story. Which, I mean, even the original film was. His comments are saying it isn't. Superman is an immigrant from another planet. Literally, technically he comes to Earth illegally, because he just crashes down. Superman has always been a migrant, that is just a fact. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand the character.
And you can almost understand, considering all of the hubris, ignorance, incompetence, and unforced errors that have led to the third reboot of The Man of Steel in 20 years from America's dumbest company, Warner Brothers. After David Zaslav mercilessly and justifiably cleansed himself of all the executives responsible for the Snyder fiasco, he brought in the very humble James Gunn, who admittedly inherited the total dumpster fire that was the DCEU. Now, it certainly didn't help that James Gunn's first public act as head of DC was to fire Henry Cavill, right after The Rock talked Henry into being in Black Adam, a decision the Warner executives and James Gunn were certainly aware of.
Yes, James Gunn would have been aware of that, but that was not his decision to make. And when you're running a universe, or you're going to start, you've got control of this.
Now what you're going to see here is why the hierarchy of power in the DC universe is about to change.
Universe, you're not going to let Dwayne Johnson make the decisions. That was already locked in.
James Gunn wanted to start with a clean slate, which turned out not to be the case. James Gunn and company announced they were not only doing a Superman movie, they were creating an all-new DC universe, announcing multiple projects, some of which have already been canceled.
Yes, he has cancelled some projects, but I think that is a good thing in my eyes because it shows that he cares more about the script than just pumping out movies. And he said as much himself. He said, when a script is ready, the film will get made. You want a director who will make a good script and make sure there's a good script than just turning out slop. That's how we end up with movies like The Flash and Batman vs Superman and Josh Whedon's Justice League. It is bad.
And it turns out they would feature some holdovers like John Cena as Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, a recast Nathan Fillion, a recast Sean Gunn.
Sean Gunn wasn't really recast because he was in The Suicide Squad, but as the Weasel. He's not recast, he's playing a different role. In this new universe, he is playing a few different roles. He's the Weasel, G.I. Robot, I can't remember his name, but he was in the new Peacemaker trailer and in the Superman movie. Maxwell Lord. He was Maxwell Lord. And if you look at the Guardians movies, he plays more than one role. He likes to help his brother out, which is fair enough. Sean Gunn's a good actor. James Gunn looks out for his brother. He plays multiple roles in Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of motion capture. So that's an irrelevant point to make, really. To be honest, most of this video so far has been me dissecting the video in order. This video would be insanely long if I kept doing that. So, what I'm gonna do is, because most of it's waffle, I'm only gonna talk about the points that I think are interesting enough, which is so little of the video.
Movies they had already released and the movies they had yet to release.
Okay, this is just annoying me a bit. I just gotta say, Joker 2 had nothing to do with James Gunn. I enjoyed the film. A lot of people hated it. Joker 2, Todd Phillips would not talk to James Gunn. That's why at the end of the film, it uses the old DC logo, not the current one. That had nothing to do with James Gunn at all.
So after all of the hype and the genuine reactions from the hand-picked Warner Brothers influencers, the polite discourse between the Snyder fans and the Gunn fans and the general James Gunness of it all, how was the movie? Well, it turns out James Gunn's Superman is Superman's James Gunn, and not in a good way, and I'm a fan of the guy's work. Concern's work, and a guy well known for successfully taking misfit characters from the comic books and bringing them to life, including a talking raccoon, do this with a traditional superhero? Can a guy known for ensemble pieces have a singular focus on that traditional superhero? Can a guy known for irreverent humor that led to the creation of the now trademark Marvel humor dial it down and make something fun yet earnest like like Iron Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and yes, Donner's Superman.
I mean, I personally think yes. I think blaming Marvel humour on James Gunn is very unfair. His Guardians films are very funny. Marvel tried to replicate that, and they didn't do a very good job. Also, the clip he used was from Thor Love and Thunder, which had nothing to do with James Gunn. He admitted he was very against Thor going with the Guardians at the end of Endgame, and it immediately got resolved in the first few minutes of Thor Love and Thunder. Also, side note, I love the TARDISes in this guy's background. I do want to say, if you didn't like the film, that is more than okay. You know, have your own opinion. I don't like Man of Steel very much. A lot of people hate me for saying that. I don't really love it. But I do really love this film. I think this Superman is great. But if you don't like it, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I'm just trying to counter his takes, but I respect the fact he doesn't like it. It's simple, you know. He has his right to his opinion, I have my right to mine.
After watching James Gunn's Superman, those concerns were justified. Because, and you can call me crazy for thinking this, I think a Superman movie should focus on Superman, which it didn't, and feature a man that is super, who wasn't.
I mean, it did. I want to hear what else this guy has to say. Minor spoiler warning for Superman 2025. This is the most, outside of Chris Reeves, obviously, this is the most accurate depiction of Superman. He even saves a squirrel. I mean, live action depiction. But he even saves a squirrel from being harmed in the film. Man of Steel, Henry Cavill would not have done that. He was just too busy aura farming the entire time.
Any of the concerns with the clips and trailers released over the last couple of months, and by the way, if you've seen them all, you've seen the first half of the movie, were Superman gets his ass kicked too much, but maybe they required a little more context, and after seeing it with context, Superman gets his ass kicked too much. But that's not the only problem, and you're going to hear this from a lot of people, including the ones who like it. Tonally, it's an absolute mess.
Okay. I don't think it's tonally a mess. I think it's funny. I think David Cornsweet is good. I think the script is good. I think, and I will say this, I did thoroughly enjoy the film, but I will admit, I think the film was a bit convoluted. Now, my friend thought it was something against the film. I actually preferred it, because I liked the fact it felt very full, like a comic book does. You know, so much is going on in the world, and I really liked that. I feel like it helped build into the comic book vibe. I get why a lot of people wouldn't like it. I personally enjoyed it, but I will say I can understand what he means by that. I think he phrased it a bit weird, but I can kind of understand what he means.
Superman's James Gunn is a direct response and a polar opposite of the Snyderverse. The problem is, it's a complete overcorrection and it doesn't really know what it wants to be. But the good news is, it's not the worst superhero film this year, and it might end up being the best, which admittedly isn't saying very much. The better news is, it isn't woke.
Who cares if a Superman movie is woke? Superman is a character that's meant to be accepting and quite literally a beacon of hope. Why would you care if it's woke? It's a very... That might be one of the dumbest takes I've heard in a while, in all honesty. I don't get why people care about that. I heard a review, I can't remember who it was by, for the Batman 2022, and they were saying that it was woke because it had more good black characters and more good white characters. And I think if you're sitting there and you're counting the black characters for diversity and wokeness, you actually need to get a job. It's very, very sad. It makes me laugh because of how pathetic it is, in all honesty.
His pal Tyrone Magnus compare it to Thor Love and Thunder, which I don't think is an inaccurate description, but I think a better one would be tonally. It's a lot closer to Black Adam and all the previous DCEU films. And man, I really wanted to like this movie because I love the idea of moving away from the deconstructed superhero and nihilism and postmodernism.
I mean, I kind of understand what he's trying to say. It's a bit slightly similar to the old DCU films because it's a DC character. They're going to be a bit like it, I guess. But not really, tonally or structurally. It's just blatantly not. I mean, I can't understand that. I mean, as I said before, he doesn't like the film. Fair enough. That's his opinion. I respect that. But his arguments don't really make a lot of sense to me.
Whelming. Now, there were concerns that Superman featured too many characters, and it featured too many characters. But I'll give it to James Gunn for consistency because they had the same complexity and depth as the plot. I thought Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner was pretty good, along with Anthony Carrigan's Metamorpho, and I thought Mr. Terrific was really good. No, I'm not going to say terrific.
Genuinely the only part of the review that made me laugh in any way. or just gave me any form of enjoyment.
I'd like to see more of the Justice Gang in a different movie, and I'm not the only one to point this out, but tonally, they come off just like the Justice Society in Black Adam.
Now, I don't completely agree, but I can kind of see what he means there, and I get what he means. Tonally, they did a bit. I know what he means, but I feel like they were different enough to where I didn't really think that, and I would disagree. I think they were good in this film. I enjoyed all of the characters. I enjoyed Hawkgirl, I enjoyed every character. I thought they were all good. Was this movie a bit crammed? I feel like the B plot about I can't remember, the Daily Planet was a bit boring in my opinion, but I still enjoyed it. It was just a bit like, could take it or leave it.
Again, proving why mid-movies are the hardest to review of the rest of the additional cast. The best I could say is they're fine, I guess.
I would definitely not call this a mid-movie. I genuinely really enjoyed it. I think it's the best Superman movie since Christopher Reeve's film. I would not call it a mid-movie. I thought it was genuinely very good, very enjoyable.
And hey, Jimmy Olsen is white again, and his unassuming Babe Magnet character was kind of funny.
Bro, the last depiction of Jimmy Olsen was also white. Also, why does it matter? I remember there was a huge controversy that Commissioner Gordon was going to be black in the Batman, and I still think it is incredibly stupid. If the actor is right for the role, let them play the role. Who cares? To be honest, he says quite a lot more, and I just can't deal with it. It's a lot, and it's pretty stupid. I might do a part 2. I don't know. Anyway, that's all for this video. Let me know. Or don't. Actually, let me know if you want to see any more. I'll decide whether I want to make one. Alright. Cheers. Bye.